Hello, everyone. Welcome to Inside Golf. I'm Harry Donahue. It's hard to imagine a more historic venue, golf-wise, than Merion Golf Club in Ardmore, Pennsylvania. From Bobby Jones in the Grand Slam in 1930 to Ben Hogan's comeback win at the 50 U.S. Open and Lee Trevino's playoff victory over Jack Nicklaus in the 70s. Situated in a small room right inside Merion's clubhouse is a collection of items that date back over 100 years. It's a history of not just golf at Merion, but golf in the United States. Today, we're going to be with John Capers. He's the archivist at Merion, a custodian of one of the richest collections of golf history anywhere. The Archives at Merion, next, here on Inside Golf. The 26th season of Inside Golf is presented by Destination Montco Golf. Your next golf getaway is in Valley Forge in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. Visit valleyforge.org. By the First Tee Greater Philadelphia. The First Tee not only helps young men and women become better golfers, but most important, better people. Get involved. Visit firstteephiladelphia.org. By the Philadelphia Association of Golf Course Superintendents, a community of professionals enhancing the game of golf since 1925. Make sure you thank your golf course superintendent today. By the Golf Association of Philadelphia, GAP, celebrating amateur golf since 1897. By Jersey Man and Philly Man Magazine, a digital publication and private business network. Read the current issue free at jerseymanmagazine.com. By the Haverford Trust Company. For life's must-haves, there's Haverford. And by Inside Golf's partner since 1998, the Philadelphia PGA Section, the experts in the game and business of golf.
Golf is the great equalizer. For many, this journey is an escape from reality, a chance to be part of a team, a career opportunity. PGA Reach impacts lives through golf by lifting people up, giving them hope, and sending them down an alternate path that they never saw coming. With PGA Reach Philadelphia, as in life and in golf, the most important shot you take is the next one.
Welcome back to Inside Golf. Really pleased to be back here at Merion East. And this is John Capers. Now, this is not his first appearance on Inside Golf. It's been a while, though. John is the archivist here at Merion and getting ready for the Open, which was back in 2013, John. We had time together. We went through your archives, and here we are back again.
Back again.
Every 10 years, we should get together like this.
I'm getting ready for another tournament.
All right, John, we're talking about the esteemed archives at Merion East. The history of this place unmatched when it comes to USGA events held here by the USGA, of course, things like the US Open, the Amateur, Walker Cup, Curtis Cup, everything goes through Merion. And they have a room, and considering, I guess, the history of this golf course and what's happened right outside these walls, the archives is, in terms of physical space, not that large. It contains a lot of unbelievable things. But here in the clubhouse, kind of like in the in-between level of this clubhouse on Ardmore Avenue, it's not that large. How long has it been around?
In its current form, it was opened around 2001. And the gentleman who had helped get it started with me probably 20 plus years before that, by the name of George Scudder, had just recently passed away. And so the family worked with the club to create the room that we have. At that time, we went and talked with Dr. Andy Much, who was the former head of the USGA Museum, who'd started his own company. And he was the one who helped us design the room and start all the different ways that we file things, and the cross-filing, the library, the individual pieces. And we have probably in the neighborhood of 250,000 plus documents and photographs.
Just in this small space behind us here?
Just here.
Wow, I was going to ask you that. And they range, well, give us an idea, the type of things that's there. The small stuff, the medium size, and the big stuff.
Well, from the picture standpoint, it goes back to when the place was originally designed. We have all of the Pennsylvania Railroad maps of the property from the standpoint of pictures. Interesting, what happens here is the ethos here, everybody gets involved. And we had a young man whose wife was transferred by her company to London, England. He'd been on our green staff for several years, and he became the drone master. And he turned over thousands and thousands of drone pictures, stills, and moving pictures from the last 5 years, almost doubled the amount of pictures that we have. And he said, his comment I thought was very insightful. He said, I want these to be at Merion, so if 50 years from now somebody goes to renovate the course, they'll know what it used to look like.
And he, if I'm not mistaken, now works at?
Wimbledon.
How much time do you devote let's take during the season? Or is it maybe in the off season you devote more time?
Off season or on season, it really doesn't change a lot. It's 50 to 70 hours a month that I'm here. But also what we do is the committee, Wayne Morrison and some of the others, are involved in giving tours. We'll get people that'll come in from out of town and say, I've got my guests, can you give us a tour of the archives? And the building itself has got several hundred pictures hanging on the walls. So even if we're not here, you're going to see the history of this golf club.
Yeah, you have a separate, what they call trophy room with all the USGA trophies on display. Like you mentioned, various pictures, even here in the library, I see pictures of Jack Nicklaus and other USGA winners here at Merion on the walls. So.
Goes all the way back to the 1916 U.S. Amateur.
Right, right. Imagine if Bobby Jones were here today. He'd probably want to spend 3 hours in there with you, right?
Well, it certainly would be a treat for me to spend the time with him, but he wouldn't see anything different. That golf course is pretty much the same from when he saw it.
Tell me, or tell our viewers, you already told me the story about the gentleman from Tennessee who was coming to Philadelphia to see the Army-Navy football game for the first time.
Yeah, I got a phone call here at the club, and they transferred it to me at home, and I talked to this gentleman. His bucket list was to see the Army-Navy game, so he brought his wife and his 2 children and their spouses, and it was arranged for them to come here, and we probably spent the better part of 3 or 4 hours.
Wow.
It turns out all of them were golfers, so that made it a little bit easier.
How about that?
We spent some time there, but fortunately, at that time of year, as you know, the course was closed. But I did arrange to get 2 golf carts, and we took them out to the Hogan plaque and then crossed our.
Did you get a picture?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he didn't know it, but I'd put a duplicate 1-iron in the cart. So we got a picture of him taking a swing at the club.
For some reason, I think you do that a lot. Before we go to break, what is the common reaction from people who have never been on the grounds? Come here, maybe they've played with a member and come up here and take a look at the archives.
I think the common reaction is, I wish my club had something like this. How do we get it started?
And when we come back, I set you up perfectly on the tee. You hit this one about 280 right down the middle, John. By the way, multiple times he has won the club championship, the senior and the super senior. That's for another show. But when we come back, John's going to tell us about, clubs that don't have archives that should, or have them and maybe haven't prepared for a catastrophe. We'll be back. The archives at Merion with the archivist. Back in a moment here on Inside Golf.
So, what do you want to do today?
Today, I want to run. I want to skate.
Thank you.
I want to see a show. I want to play. I want to eat, like a lot. I want to sleep in a hotel. Can we do all that?
We can do all that and more.
Welcome back. Inside Golf continues in the library at the Merion Clubhouse, adjacent to their archives. Talking to the archivist, that would be John Capers, and he's taken time out to give us a little idea about the history here. And now, John, I'm going to take it to another step. Cooperation with other clubs, Philadelphia area clubs, but clubs maybe all around the world for that matter, who maybe have an archives, are thinking about improving what they have, or even starting an archives. Tell us about your involvement there.
Well, things arrive here sometimes from Merion members saying, would you like to have this? And if it's not Merion-esque, I take a look at it and try and figure out, well, wait a minute, hold it. This is a whole bunch of material on Michelle Wee when she played in the women's amateur. over at Philly Country Club. And so I boxed it up and proceeded to take it over to the country club. They have used it apparently in some areas, and the gentleman who gave it to us has gotten credit for that. We helped Aronimink get some ideas started a number of years ago. I remember talking to Penske about that. And then Philly Cricket in their St. Martin's location.
Yeah, which have just restored the clubhouse.
Spectacular job restoring the clubhouse and changing everything, make it look even better and more modern. And part of that was for instance, a medal that was given to Joe Murdoch, who was the founder of the Golf Collectors Society, which spawned societies all over the world. And so apparently they have put a showcase in for some material for him. So it's not unusual for items to come through here, which we then try to pass off to other clubs, which is where they belong.
A part of having an archives is planning for a disaster, a catastrophe, be it a fire or some other event that could potentially ruin everything that's under collection. Talk about that a little bit.
Very few clubs have any idea what would happen if they had a fire, or where the staff would be told to go after certain things. And we've tried to structure that type of a document for our general manager, Paula Kelly, so that people know that, for instance, if something happened, my favorite would be to take the portrait of Hugh Wilson that's in the lobby. Get that out of here first. It's a beautiful painting. It's very historic for the club. And then you go after the club trophies. You don't go after the duplicate trophies of the USGA events, because they're just that. They're duplicates. They can be easily replicated. But the trophies that go back to the turn of the century, and I'm talking about the 19th century that we have, those are the ones you got to get first. No question about it.
Yeah, and Oakland Hills, an historic venue, a major location, recently had a disastrous fire. How'd they make out in terms of, first of all, did they have an archives?
Oh, they had a huge archives.
And how did it survive?
It was started here. Some of their non-resident members, the Oakland Hills non-resident Merion members, started it. And it survived a lot better than you would have thought. Part of it was due to the fact that a lot of members lived very close by, and they started a chain taking stuff out of the clubhouse. But they also made one of the mistakes that I've cautioned people here. They went after the USGA and the PGA trophies. Well, those are duplicates. Go after the club trophies. The ones
stuff that doesn't have a
Yeah,
duplicate.
the men's club championship, the women's club championship, the juniors. Those are the things you want to go after first.
10 years ago, Justin Rose won the U.S. Open in 2013. And I know Justin has a special place in his heart for this place. Did he leave any particular mementos or anything that are now archived?
Well, I'm going to date this meeting because the reason I was late is I was watching him just win at Pebble Beach. Justin Rose wanted to become a full member, and that he did. He did not know that we had acquired the stanchion that had his name on it from the last round. And when he walked into the archives the first time and he saw the stanchion, he was shocked. And I handed him a Sharpie and I said, "It's time for you now to sign it on both sides."
How about that, which he did?
That was brought here. The young man who was carrying that on Sunday was a Merion member in his early teens, and he spotted his mother apparently behind the grandstands on 18 and went right up to her and said, "I'm not giving this back to the USGA. How do we get it into the archives?" And that's what's important. It's the ethos of what's created here. We have a number of donations a year, but only half of them come from members.
How about that?
About 40% come from guests, and the rest comes from the Merion team, the staff, that both grounds and the house staff.
So I'm sure you have celebrated professional players come in here, tour players, USGA winners, great amateur players. Give me an idea. What's the couple of biggest celebrities you've met who wanted, maybe not even from golf, but were here and wanted to go through the archives? Can you do that?
Yeah, I can. I've been very fortunate to meet a number of people here, and there was a gentleman here last year, and the main thing I wanted to do was to put my hand up against his, because when we did that, his fingers were up here.
Uh-oh. professional basketball player?
Now I know why Dr. J can palm that ball so well.
So Julius went through on a personal tour?
He's gone through a couple of times.
Did he leave anything, like maybe his scorecard from that day? Or
I don't think he wanted to do that, but his signature's in the book upstairs. We have a guest book which we ask all the people to sign, as will the three of you today.
Oh, that'd be a pleasure. Do you have a personal favorite item or items that are in this room?
We have a collection of medals up there. Every time you play in a USGA event, you receive a contestant's badge. It's a metal badge. You'll see the players wearing it on their hat or on their belt for identification. We have a contestant's badge from every single one of the USGA events played on this golf course going back to 1916.
It's something, if you haven't been here, we're going to take a break. When we come back after our teed off segment, I'm going to ask John about maybe personal tours. You meet Mr. Capers and take a look at what he has here at the archives at Merion. Back with more from Merion. We'll take a break and be back with our teed off panel. That's next on Inside Golf.
Well, McIlroy, I used to not like McIlroy. I'm on Team McIlroy now. He stuck the flag in the ground for the PGA Tour and basically laid out the laws. And this is what we're doing, and we don't need these guys.
Welcome back. Inside Golf continues with Teed Off. Our panel today from, again, Lulu Country Club in Upper Dublin. From Lulu, we have John Rusk. He's the general manager here, runs the show. It may be the off-season for us. It's never an off-season for you, is it, John? You're just getting ready for the next
We got guys out there right now playing. We're always
right,
ready.
right, and it's 42 degrees or something like that. Never a bad day at Lulu Country Club.
Never a bad day.
Another Lulu guy is Jim Sullivan. And Sully, great player. If we had more time, we'd hear about it.
Proud runner-up in the club championship.
All we have to do is talk to this guy.
Club
Beat
champion,
John. I had to
exactly.
beat John.
Okay, there you go. It continues between these two. Joe Logan, myphillygolf.com. Everybody knows Joe Logan. He is the guy when you want to know about Philadelphia golf. It's Joe Logan. Joe, we're going to talk about LIV again and the PGA Tour. Got off again to a bad start at Dubai. Patrick Reed was there, a LIV guy. Rory McIlroy was there, #1 guy in the world. And Rory's had a few comments about LIV and where it is. And, you know, Reed always seems to get involved in a controversy, whether he wants to or not. And it was something about he went over to say hello to him, and Rory didn't give him the time of day, which I guess he can do. He's Rory McIlroy. And John walked away and threw down an LIVT or something like that. Of course, you know, the media picked up right on that. What's your thoughts on that incident? We'll get into another one.
Well, I think Rory said at the time, I didn't acknowledge him. The guy they served him a subpoena. He's suing me.
Yes.
I just got a
New
subpoena
Year,
like
or Christmas
Eve, yeah. But again, I think we come back to the fact, well, LIV certainly seems to be more entrenched and accepted than it was this time last year. People were talking about it this time last year like it would be dead. It's not dying. It's sinking its roots
It's too
deeper.
big to fail
It's too big.
at this
It's already, you know, too many people. It's just too well established, even at this point. But I still come back to the point that the golf has got to get better. Right now, they're talked about for the controversy. They need to be talked about for the golf. It remains to be seen whether that will happen.
They do have a TV deal. I don't know how much it's going to penetrate, you know, and a lot of people aren't into the whole shotgun start. That's not a big deal with me. Is that a big deal with you, Sully? The fact that they play only 3 rounds, there's no cut, everybody gets paid, and they have a shotgun start.
Yeah, to me, all of it makes it a lesser event, lesser level of competition. If you had the top 50 players in the world playing in those scenarios, under those conditions, that would be the best tournament in the world, but they don't. They've got 10 of the top 30 or 40, and then a list, you know, gradually deteriorating list. I think it's compromised. They haven't. I don't think they added any big names this winter, unless I missed.
Not yet.
And they not that they couldn't, but they would have by now if they had some. I don't know when their first real event is, but I disagree. Kind of what I said once they got going last year is this will last as long as the funders are entertained by it, and at some point they'll decide they're not entertained anymore, and it'll disappear. And that is what it is. The Reed McIlroy thing, I'm not all that interested in.
Right. And Reed had another controversy there. At least some writers and some TV guys made it into a big deal where he hit a ball and it looked like it went into a tree, and then there were 3 trees, and which tree did it go into? And according to some people, they picked the wrong tree, and he had to identify it, his ball, and all this and that. It's almost like it becomes a sideshow, or it becomes the show, and golf, whenever he's out there, becomes the sideshow.
He can't get out of his own way.
Yeah.
He makes poor decisions. And I used to be a big Patrick Reed guy. I love Captain America. I love that he would thumb his nose up at everybody, but even I'm off Patrick Reed. I love McIlroy. I used to not like McIlroy. I'm on Team McIlroy now. He stuck the flag in the ground for the PGA Tour and basically laid out the law and said, this is what we're doing, and we don't need you guys and to beat off. So, like I said, I was a big Patrick Reed guy. He just can't get out of it. I mean, the ball's clearly in a tree. Which tree is it? He makes a tree up, and if he's cheating. The thing with the sand, he just can't help himself.
But they don't. They continue. I mean, it never
Doesn't
changes
stop. No.
with him, and he's a good player.
He's a great player. I mean, he's one of the top 10 in the world, but he can't help himself.
Right. It's a shame.
It is a shame. Yeah.
Now, I brought up the fact about live and 3 rounds and the shotgun starts and music. It's a different vibe at a live event, and you're in the business of running a golf course. You have, in every golf club, whether it's private or public, I think has a certain vibe to it. When you see what Live does, is that identify with your members?
Look, I mean,
Tell us about that.
Live's probably copying what we do on a 12T here with the music, everybody hooting and hollering.
Is that the future for a lot of younger golfers?
I'm 43 years old. I'm kind of in between the younger generation and the older generation. But I enjoy that stuff. I'm not going to watch it because I don't enjoy watching golf, period. But
you'd rather play it than
I'd
watch
rather
it.
play it, and I'd rather. To me, Live's an exhibition. It's a fun event. I would take my kids out to see it. I don't think they're showcasing their talent. I think they're freewheeling it. They're already paid all this money. There's no pressure at all. There's zero pressure.
Really? You don't think like you have a chance to win
Not for the
like 10 million one weekend as opposed to only
look,
$1 million?
You show up, you're making $225 grand. You play 10 events, you're getting $2.5 million doing nothing.
Yeah.
On top of what they paid for you, they're paying your air for everything. There's no pressure at all. It's an exhibition to me. I don't watch it, but I don't have a problem with what they're doing. These guys made a business decision, Reed and Johnson. I don't blame them for taking the money, and they don't have any pressure.
But a guy like Cam Smith, who's arguably top 3 player in the world,
gave him $100 million.
is he locked into this thing, Joe? Is this going to open up for Cam Smith? Is his career like going to be an asterisk forever?
Well, until he gets back in world events where you get the points, yeah, I mean, he's making a lot of money.
Like the world rankings and everything,
yeah,
how it's going to impact
it
him,
still
majors.
matters. Are they going to resolve that somehow? Remains to be seen.
And don't you think they will, or no? I mean, it's not going to be resolved between Monahan and Greg Norman, the 2 guys that are respectively the head of those tours.
Who seem to be digging in deeper
Oh, yeah.
every day.
And Jay's response is, let's throw more money out there at bigger events and all this and that. At the other hand, though, can you continue to have that tension between the 2?
Well, I'm sure PGA Tour players look at it and think, wait a minute, the PGA Tour has now come up with $20 million events and all this PIP money, $200 million or whatever it is.
Where was it?
was it?
Where was that? I mean, it's a
Originally.
valid question to ask.
Right.
And now even Phil Mickelson, who's beginning to inch his way back into the picture, is gloating about all of that.
Well, we won't settle anything here. Let's see how it plays out in 2023. We'll be back. More of Inside Golf in a moment. Designed by Donald Ross, Lulu Country Club is one of the premier private golf courses in Montgomery County. This classic 18-hole course boasts a new state-of-the-art clubhouse with many amenities for members to enjoy. Members are invited to play in events, tournaments, and enjoy guest privileges. For more information, contact membership at lulucc.com. Well, we're going to wrap things up here from Merion. Our conversation with John Capers about the archives here at Merion East. What a story that is. John, maybe some of our viewers would maybe like to get in touch with you, or how can they, about making their way through these hallowed halls at Merion into your archives?
Well, like Merion shares the outside golf course with the world, we like to share the archives with people also to help them get started at their own clubs. And I do a lot of tours for people, members, non-members, people from out of country. All they have to do is call the front desk
At Merion.
at Merion, and then try and they'll get in touch with me. Leave their name and number, and we'll see if we can set up a time.
Right, and the next USGA event here on grounds will be?
The U.S. Amateur in 26, which is when Philadelphia is celebrating, what, the 150th anniversary, and they're going to have sporting events of all different types all over the city.
And then 2030, it'll be the U.S.
It'll be
Open.
the U.S. Open. It'll be the year that they celebrate the 4 tournaments that Jones won for the Grand Slam.
It'll be a busy year, I'm sure, for the archives.
Absolutely.
And the archivist, John Capers. John, thanks
Thank
again.
you.
Good seeing you
As
again.
always, thank
All
you
right.
for what you do for golf.
That's going to do it for this week's edition of Inside Golf. A little trip down the historical lane here, Ardmore Avenue and Merion East and the archives. What a spot. I'm Harry Donahue. We'll see you next time here on Inside Golf. The 26th season of Inside Golf is presented by Destination Montco Golf. Your next golf getaway is in Valley Forge in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. Visit valleyforge.org. By the First Tee Greater Philadelphia. The First Tee not only helps young men and women become better golfers, but most important, better people. Get involved. Visit firstteephiladelphia.org. By the Philadelphia Association of Golf Course Superintendents, a community of professionals enhancing the game of golf since 1925. Make sure you thank your golf course superintendent today. By the Golf Association of Philadelphia, GAP, celebrating amateur golf since 1897. By Jersey Man and Philly Man Magazine, a digital publication and private business network. Read the current issue free at jerseymanmagazine.com. By the Haverford Trust Company. For life's must-haves, there's Haverford. And by Inside Golf's partner since 1998, the Philadelphia PGA Section, the experts in the game and business of golf.